don't think we need anything else past D20s and D6s. And we'll get started here in just a little bit. I find YouTube's not as good as Twitch is letting people know the stream is going on, so might be just a little bit. But the plan here for today, which I'll probably repeat, we're going to make a dungeon. I have sort of 7 rooms rolled, not the rooms themselves, but just the way you do the map with Cairn is just having basically dice that roll out on paper. I just did that ahead of time, took a picture of it, and we'll have that on stream in a bit once we get going and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, we're just gonna see how all these tools work, see if the dungeon's any good. Yeah, it did. Okay, I'm interested to see what you get, because last time I tried them ahead of time, and I got basically like a warped, ruined astral trading hub city. And so it actually gave us some pretty good ideas. It gave me some good ideas of what I wanted to do with that. The dungeon itself, I'm not sure. I didn't really flesh it out fully, so I still need to do that. But it did make me think, like, oh, okay, we're gonna have some weird as hell factions coming out of, you know, this warped ass trading hub. But again, it definitely gives you ideas. But yeah, you're definitely gonna lean into the weird a bit, I think, with some of these roles. And yeah, okay. I think people will be able to catch up. I might also make an edit of this live stream depending on if we make an interesting enough thing. Oh man, like cats are whining outside. I might let them in, and they'll be climbing all over me while I'm trying to do this. But we'll see. Their whines do get to me, so I may cave. But we shall see. All right. So let's start for this dungeon. We're gonna see its type and the big sort of feature kind of theme for it, and from there we'll. I'm trying to close up some of the stuff. There's too much stuff on there. From there we'll see. I guess the kind of vibe we get. So it's 2d20. Really, Scott? Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Alright, so... And I'm sorry I don't have dice on screen. I was going to do that, but I decided I'll just have real dice to make it easy. One of 2 things here. Type and feature. No, wait. And let me know if you guys want the font bigger, if it's a little bit hard to read. Dungeon type. Dungeon feature. Alright, so for the type, we rolled a 10, which is manor. Okay, okay. I'm a big fan of manners. We'll see if that ends up, if you end up having to rob some rich people. And the dungeon feature is, we got roll a 19, toxic. Okay. Toxic manor. I wonder what that will lead to. Alright. And after that, basically, I just want the POI for that. We're not going to be doing a region or the paths or anything. That, I feel like, is a big enough scope that, like, that's probably going to be a very long stream. And also, I would like to start small, and then we'll, you know, try for a bit bigger of a thing. Or, like, we can put this dungeon in a bigger region that we generate later on. I want to stick mostly to just the dungeon. So... next, we have the history, you know, sort of like who built it, its original use, all the sort of fun sort of flavor that we can add to it that you can sort of ambiently add at the table to sort of make it a little bit more intriguing for your players. So we're going to roll another 2d20 here. What was it? It's original use and built by. Original use. Dungeon built by. Hey, Martin, how's it going, buddy? How you doing? Good to see you here. All right. And also, I will be asking you guys for ideas. Like, once we get some of these sort of primers down for ideas and everything. We can go back and forth, get ideas from the chat, see what people think, see what ideas are bad, what ideas are good. If we want to change some things, my challenge for this is, unless it's so god awful that I really can't think of a good way to utilize one of the prompts, I would like to try and just stick with whatever we get a good idea of like what happens if we just roll and see what we can do with that without having to re-roll, unless we are really stuck on ideas. So the dungeon originally was built by, we got a 16. Its original use was an observatory. Okay, that's interesting for a manor to be originally used as an observatory. You might be dealing with some sort of weird hermit, or maybe some sort of like astrologist. I guess clearly one with some rich parents, or somehow made money themselves. And it was built by, and I rolled a 4, a long dead poet. Okay, this is actually already shaping up to be a very interesting idea, because this could be a very sad thing. Maybe it's a very like, already get the idea that this is probably built by somebody who is clearly eclectic. If it's an observatory, it's a manor, and it was a long dead poet. We might be dealing with like a classic old wizard, maybe some sort of romantic stuff that we can throw on that. And maybe there's a tragedy here that we could go with. So let's go with the construction. So this is one thing I have a question for you guys, because there's not any extra information on this. So for anybody who's read the Cairn 2 ebook, in the construction part on page 36, it says construction, roll 1d20 for each column and combine. It's both the entrance and it's the composition, I believe, of that entrance. Is that just, I guess, just the, like, basically the description to the main entrance into the dungeon? Is that what that is? It's what I'm guessing. It's like your way into the dungeon. But it was just vague enough that I didn't know if that was the case. Because, there's, with a lot of these, there's a talk about, like, oh, you should have, like, multiple entrances into your dungeon. And so, yeah, it was one thing I was a little bit like, is this for both, or should you roll this twice or roll this for every entrance that you get? That you want to put into the dungeon, I should say. But for now, we'll just say that this is the entrance, and I'll just pop up, since this is as good time as any. Where is it? There it is. So the way it works for the dungeon, for anybody who's not familiar with the Cairn book on how you should start build a dungeon, is that you roll dice on a piece of paper, and each die represents where the room is, and what kind of room it is, depending on the number on the die. If you see the numbers I put over superimposed there, that's just like the room numbers I put down, just to keep it easy. Your entrance is whichever one is closest to the edge of the paper, which obviously I cropped out for this one, but we have that at that 3 in the top left. So this is our dungeon sort of construction here. We have a good amount of different numbers for it too, so it should be interesting to see what we get with these, and we'll go through each one of those rooms. I mostly have them numbered just so we can keep track of them on the document. And I don't know if we want to keep this up here. Maybe we'll just it's a little bit small. We can make this bigger when it comes up to us talking about it. I'll just flip up here now. It's ugly as hell, but that's fine. That's never stopped me before with my content creation. Okay. So let's just roll on this entrance here, which is the one in the left. I guess we'll... Yeah, okay, cool. So the entrance is, well, what kind of entrance it has and the composition of that entrance. Entrance, composition. Okay. We got 13 and 11. So for 13, it's a mine shaft, and 11 living plants. So our entrance into this manor, or I guess dungeon, is a mine shaft made of living plants, or at least, you know, completely surrounded in living plants. Okay, like I said, we're gonna try and stick with what we get and see what we can make out of it, or what story those things tell. Mine shaft. And also, this might not be even the manor. Maybe this is like a mine shaft that was built like in, you know, maybe like the ground floor of the manor. So maybe there's like something that was underneath the manor, which is why it was built, or like maybe this poet found. Could also be a secondary entrance for sure into the dungeon. So it could be maybe the dungeon is underneath the manor. Maybe like you go inside normal manor and then there's just like a room that you like, you know, you go down the mine shaft. If anybody's seen the movie Barbarian, maybe it's a bit of a Barbarian situation. Living plants. This could maybe also, the living plants thing could also just be like, you know, there's growth happens from, you know, from over time and things like that, especially like, you know, in the earth. But maybe this is also an indication of something alien, something that's like growing things, you know, to an extent that where they shouldn't grow, and maybe like to an overall extent that's very concerning. Like maybe a big part of the manor is overgrown. That sort of maybe can lead you to this mine shaft. Like maybe like the second and third floor of the manor are like untouched, but the first floor has loads and loads of leaves and plants and everything elsewhere. Maybe sort of just kind of leading you to that as a clue. That something is weird here. For ruination of the dungeon, we have condition and cause. Now, I'm assuming this is the ruination of the dungeon and not the ruination of the entrance. So, okay, we got 19, which is unending condition. What the fuck? All right, 1 second. Ruination, condition, unending, and ruination, cause. And the ruination cause is, we rolled a 4. Civil War. So Martin said, maybe there was something in a deep cavern that was discovered when the area was mined. Some wizard arrived to assess the thing in the cavern and decided to build an observatory in it to harness the power of the thing in the cavern. Yeah, so that's where my brain's going as well. And yeah, and like, Civil War is interesting because this Civil War thing could be maybe like unrelated to anything else that happened here. It could be that there is like an active war or a war that happened in the past that destroyed this place, that, you know, maybe ran the wizard out of here, or maybe led the wizard to go down into this mine shaft to escape from maybe some people coming to loot and rob the manor. Very strange so far. It'll be interesting to see once we get a bit more stuff how we're feeling. Okay. So next we have the Dungeon Denizens, and I'm wondering if we should leave this till later if we start now. I'll read out the Dungeon Denizen part for you guys, just because I think it'll provide more context than me just rolling on it and not really explaining it too well. Most dungeons will have creatures that live there and make it their home. The following table can be used to describe the general attitude of any or all of the intelligent creatures in the dungeon. Roll on the traits table, writing the results in your notebook. This describes the general attitude of the creatures found in the dungeon. Meanwhile, every dungeon should have at least one NPC that stands out from all the others. These types prefer the dungeon life over any other, but still act differently from their brethren. They should be NPCs that the party can interact with, trade with, hire, aid, and so on. These strange creatures can be deeply involved or entirely neutral towards the dungeon's other denizens and factions. Roll on the traits table again, writing the results in your notebook, keeping the following questions in mind. What do you know about the creatures and factions that occupy the dungeon? What is each faction trying to achieve, and what stands in their way? So, generally, we can roll here and have the general vibe of the denizens, and then if we have like a character in mind later, or want to roll on it again for a character in mind to be, you know, an NPC that stands out, we can. I think we can roll on this now. I'm just wondering if we want to do other stuff first, because we have dungeon factions. We already have the dungeon built, or like the dungeon rooms built, and then we just have to roll on them. we'll do the Denizens now, and then we'll probably have to flesh those out a bit in a little bit here. All right. So I think this is the Denizens general vibe, not the special one. I think we'll roll on the special one later when we have more of an idea of what these factions are going to look like or what weird things we're dealing with. General vibe, Denizens. Virtues and vices, okay. Denizen, virtues, Denizen, vices. We got a 12 for the virtues, which is practical. Okay. Oop, that was all caps. Oops. Practical. And then vices, we got 10, which is passive. Okay. Practical and passive. Maybe there's something going on with whatever's down here that's like sort of keeping them under control or is having maybe an effect on the people. Or maybe they're just very chill dudes. It's just a weird little dungeon. Okay. Now we have the factions. Like I said, we'll do the special denizens that are different later. All dungeons should have one or more factions with their own unique agenda, obstacles, leaders, and hierarchy. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do, because we're only doing what a 7-room dungeon. That's not really a huge dungeon, you know. We're doing this just as like sort of a kind of primer. So I think we're just gonna stick with 2 factions, because I think if we do more than that, I mean, you can maybe do 3. But I think 2 for 7 rooms is pretty good, because that's already like pretty squished in. Now, obviously, the 7 rooms might be very far apart from each other, and they also might be a little bit more, I guess, what's what I'm looking for? They might not be, like, specifically just small rooms you go through. They could be, you know, large caverns or, you know, very complex structures and areas that they could be at. But I think we're going to stick with 2 for now, and then we'll go from there. I think the only thing that's weird about to just go back to the Denizens real quick, is that I find with the factions being so different, I guess that is like maybe a good thing to pull from. I don't know if I personally would necessarily give the general same vibe across the whole dungeon. I know you have the one, you'll roll on the one that feels different from everybody, and that's what gives you that sort of that spice of, you know, being a little bit different with that variety. But I feel like with factions, if you want them to feel more real, you're going to have a lot of different personalities. I guess most factions will probably have a, you know, general, I guess, goal or, I guess, vibe that they go for. But, yeah, I don't know. The Denizens thing is a little bit weird. But we'll see. Once we flesh it out more, we'll see how well things work out. Okay, so, for the dungeon factions, they have a goal and an obstacle. So this is for faction 1. Faction 1 goal. Maybe I should have this in PDF form. It'd be a little bit better than me flipping between the book and the dice over and over again, but we've already committed to the physical version of this, so. Oh, and we are. Let's bring an extra page so I can roll this down a bit for you guys. There you go. There you go. All right. So, Faction 1, their goal is 7 growth. And their obstacle, 13, is incompetence. Okay. That's very funny. Growth, incompetence. Maybe these are like some weird plant aliens or creatures, maybe. I'm not totally sold on it being a plant thing just because of the mine shaft, but I feel like that has to be an indicator of something that's happening in here. Hey, Steve, how's it going, buddy? Goal, obstacle, and then this is the one opposed to them. We got an 11 and a 9. Okay, 11, liberation, And 9, exposure. Okay, well now I'm getting back to the plants thing again. Liberation. Exposure. So this is interesting. Because liberation brings up a whole host of questions for their relationship to the other faction. Despite the other faction's incompetence. Maybe that second faction, maybe it's that wizard that we're thinking of owning the manor. Maybe there's something going on with him being trapped down here, but also maybe there's some issues that have happened to him with whatever has happened with his exposure to whatever's down here, or his exposure to what happens if he leaves this place, which could be an interesting thing for wanting liberation, but also it not being a great thing for you to get out of the prison that you're in. So that's interesting. That's very weird. We'll figure out more here in a bit. Okay, so now we have the dungeon, the building a dungeon, and that what you see at the top right there. I don't know how well the camera will pick it up, but basically, it's like that. So we're going to basically all those dice, and yeah, this is too small for you guys to read. Essentially, the numbers on the dice determine what kind of room it is. For 1, it's monster, 2 to 3 is lore, 4 is special, and 5 to 6 are traps. And so those are tables to roll on as well, and then we can also connect them. I am going to, for now, just for the ease of this, I'm going to avoid connecting the different rooms just because I don't want to deal with that. I could probably maybe pop it out on Canva and like just draw around it and do whatever, but we'll use our imagination for how these are actually, you know, all connected. Maybe we'll try some slight J-quasing. Who knows? But I think it's less important than the contents of the dungeon, and then we can figure out later how they might be attached to each other. So, I think what we'll do is we'll just go down to different rooms and we'll just roll in them, and we'll see what we get. So, the entrance is a lore room, which I think is a pretty. I think that's a good start. I'm a fan of setting the tone with the lore room right from the get-go. We'll just move down to the next page here. Okay, room 1, entrance, lore room. And we're just gonna give these like tags for now, and we'll flesh them out afterwards. It is, I'll roll a d20. Okay, we got a 5 and a 4. It's a court. And the clue is echoes. Okay, so this is getting weird. Room type, court, clues, echoes. I'm gonna read out the lore room description for you guys, just so that maybe makes a little more sense what these are. So, lore rooms should build on the theme of the dungeon, provide a valuable lesson, or connect the characters with an NPC or faction. They might create a dilemma that unites the party, or puts them at odds with their mission. At a minimum, these rooms act as a curiosity, adding something memorable to the experience beyond danger and puzzle solving. Of course, the characters should not know that these rooms do not contain danger or challenges. This helps increase tension in the dungeon, while offering a potential respite and opportunity for growing the narrative. Okay, so that's room 1. Court and clues. Clues being echoes is interesting. It's very, very weird. All right. Room 2, which is, I believe, is that a monster room? Are we getting a monster room already? Yes, it's a monster room. Perfect. All right. Okay. Monster room. Room type. Clues. Also, you know what? We're just gonna copy and paste this just because we're gonna do this 5 more times, so might as well just speed things up a little bit. All right. For the monster room, we rolled a 1 and a 9 So, oh wait, it's not. Oh, never mind. It's different depending on the. Yeah, that makes sense. It's not depending on the room. So it's actually group and activity. So room 1 is avian, and 9, their activity is mating. Okay. Wait, what did it say? Let's say group type. That is not true. Oh yeah, no, sorry, that is true. Yeah, you did arbitrarily blame Steve for that, or Martin for that. Group type, avian, activity, bangin'. All right. So we go from a courtroom with some sort of echoes directly into some sort of bird orgy. So, you know, I think this is already a good dungeon. That's all I'm gonna say. Room 3 is a 4. Is that another lore room? No, 4 is special type of room. Okay. So special rooms, I'll just read this one out as well because it is different. Special rooms. Special room areas are uncommon areas that feature a hidden or interactive element. This element can be a challenge, an obstacle, a puzzle, or all of the above. These rooms should offer difficult choices with long-term impacts. They might make dungeon exploration easier, but with a serious cost. Okay, so that's what a special room is. Ooh, I got double 17s. Okay. Room 3, special room. All right. Let's see what this one is. 17. The special is treasure, and the feature is that it shifts. Feature shifts. Now, I think we'll want to do more of the dungeon first before totally nailing down what kind of puzzle this might be. But something about shifting treasure actually sounds like a really cool but simple puzzle idea. Whether that is it moving away from you unless you do something, like maybe it moves around the room, or like almost like a whack-a-mole kind of situation, or maybe there's illusions of it, or maybe it shifts from this room to maybe a different room or something. So we won't get too into it just yet. We might not get into it at all, depending on if we don't really have ideas for how to do this past maybe some sort of broad ideas for it. But we'll come back to this one. Room 4. Oh, that's 5. I think this is a trap room. So we've had some good diversity of different types of rooms so far. I think the first dungeon I did, I think I had monster trap, and I was like, oh man, that's not bad. That's clearly just a very dangerous sort of murdery dungeon. But I like the diversity in this one. I think there's a good amount of stuff going on here. All right, trap room. Okay. I don't just like monsters. I don't think I need to explain trap rooms to you guys. I think you guys are smart cookies. I mean, if you're in a stream about Cairn, I'm assuming that you've played a dungeon crawl before. Okay, so for this we get a trap and a trigger. For the trap, we rolled 15, which is impales, always a classic, and 19, the trigger, is touching. Okay, yeah, again, very classic from this. Trap, impales, trigger, touches. Now, one thing I do want to say that's interesting about this, which I think you can cast off and go with what ideas, work for you. I mean, you should be doing that with this stuff anyway. In reality, when you do stuff like generation, I set the rules for me for when we're doing this to just try and follow what we get, because I just think it's fun to try and stay within those parameters and challenge ourselves. But if you're doing this on your own, you feel free to change whatever you want that fits you. Whenever I'm generating anything, I always almost change at least 30 to 50% of stuff that I roll on to something that's more interesting. So the thing with traps, though, the trap type, you see how it says touches? That is specific to touches. Because if you look at the triggers, there's activating, breaking, crossing, disturbing, entering, extinguishing, focusing, interacting, lighting, moving, opening, pulling, pushing, reading, speaking, stepping, taking, talking, touching, chirping. So, like, they kind of covered the bases on, like, the exact individual actions that will lead to the trigger. Because the reason why I'm bringing that is I'm saying, like, touches could also be pulling and pushing. So we'll try and stick with touches, but you know, we might modify it a bit to something else. Okay, so that is room 4. Room 5, and room 5 is another lore room. Now I wonder, what do you guys think? Because I don't know, I should check further on if there's a part about making second entrances, or if you just decide there's one. But I could see 5 here, this other lore room, maybe perhaps being another good entrance, which maybe we can roll on a second entrance, then maybe we can decide which one's the mine shaft. What do you guys think? Because I think if we go for 2 entrances, that's usually pretty good. Though this is a very small dungeon, we could try and keep it just a very, like, bottled up small area that's kind of a little bit isolated. I do kind of like the idea of the lore rooms being the entrance, though. I think that's a good way to bring people in. So we'll do second entrance. Lore room. And we'll just go back and we'll roll. Actually, no. Let's do this one first. Room type and clues. We'll roll on these first, then we'll go back and roll the other entrance, and we'll see which one we want to go with. Which one? Room type. Ooh, natural 20. Lore room. Natural 20 is a workshop, and the clue is leavings. Okay, that makes sense to me. I mean, a workshop would probably have quite a few things like that. So, I guess most rooms would have something as vague as leavings. But this could be a good place to find some tools. This could be a good place to maybe figure out about something. Also, maybe this workshop could also be a good clue to one of the denizens. Maybe like there's some sort of like, you know, craftsman down here. Maybe this belonged to this, you know, guy in the manor who's both into, what was it? He had an observatory. He's a long dead poet. Or if that is the same person, because they might not be the same person, we haven't really decided yet. But this could be another one of their oh my god, what if it's just a guy with ADHD who keeps on taking on different hobbies? Just make him really relatable, where, you know, there's an observatory for the stars because he was super into astronomy. He also tried his hand at poetry. He got into fucking metalworking and like woodworking when he got older, you know. Just a guy who can't decide what he wants to do, does it for a few years, and then just moves on to the next hobby, just chasing that dragon. Well, exactly, Mark. I feel like that'll be one that like a lot of people in this hobby can relate to, considering how many people in this hobby both do like this hobby and several like adjacent ones and a bunch of different ones. So I can absolutely see that. Okay, let's just do the entrance roll here. Okay. 16 for the entrance is a starlight path, and 18 made of stone. Okay, see, that's pretty good. I like the starlight path made of stone. We'll do entrance starlight path leading to a manor. I think makes more sense. Entrance composition stone. Maybe it could be some sort of like moonstones or something. There you go. Yeah, Simon getting called out, just trying to chill here and being attacked. Okay, because I think the mine shaft with overgrown leaves leading to a workshop makes more sense to me. I think it's fun to try and go, like, how does that lead to a fucking court? But I think, I just think that this might work a little bit better. But let's keep going. We only have 2 rooms left. Let's just get these ones done, and then we can really flesh this bad boy out. Room 6, that's a 2. Is that another lore room? I think that might be. And with these lore rooms, I might personally add some, you know, monsters or that sort of thing. 2 is another lore room. Okay, we have another lore room. All right. I mean, there's only 4 different types of rooms you can have, so it's not like that's unexpected to have multiple of one type. Room type. Clues. And let's see what we get. All right, 12 and 17. 12 is a latrine, and 17 is tapping for the clue. Oh man, is somebody stuck down the latrine? I don't know about this one. I don't want to see the fucking latrine after the bird orgy is over. You know what I mean? I think this is gonna be a disgusting dungeon. Disgusting enough where it doesn't get demonetized. That's the levels we're playing in here. Latrine and tapping. I don't know why, but something about tapping just makes me think with like a latrine that you dig that there's like somebody down here who's like, I don't know, been put like in a fucking casket as like a bit or something underneath, or like there's a prisoner here or something. But tapping could be literally anything, but my brain immediately went to that because it just seems like the worst thing that could happen to somebody. Room 7, 4, I believe that's another special room, I think. So I think we only have 1 monster room, which is interesting. Yeah, 4, another special room. All right. Oh wait, no. Is that right? Yeah, no, it is. Okay, cool. 11 and 10. The special is a mural, and it's an illusion. Oh. Okay. Room 7. Special. Is that a better entrance? You can see room 6. That's how this works, Steve. We're rolling off of what we get on the dice here, and the manufacturing of the dungeon is based on where the dice actually fall on the page. So we're going by those rules. Now, with that said, if we do make the entrance here at 3, yes, yeah, Martin. I think we have to make that one a secret room. Maybe there's a Birdard. Maybe the tapping in the latrine. Maybe that's a clue to like the secret mural. Special mural. Absolutely not, Steve. You absolutely cannot do that. That's not allowed. Not here. No, you absolutely could move it, if it is more fun, but at the same time, you might, with having the extra entrances, if they come in from the workshop down here at the bottom, if we make this our second entrance, like we have so far, you could absolutely easily end up in the latrine room before the bird orgy room. There's no saying that you'll have to go there. It depends on which way you actually enter. Special, and then, what was it? Feature illusion. Or was it illusionary? Illusion. Cool. All right, so that's the rooms. Now we can, I think, flesh these out a bit here. I don't know if there's anything else to roll on. I think that's everything that the book has for the dungeon. Now, again, obviously, we can start putting these together. We can start attaching them to each other. I don't know if we'll do that for today, but we will flesh these out now. Okay, cool. Yeah, that seems like it's everything that's on here. There might be another thing here or there, but overall, this is our dungeon. So, you can sort of see here. Basically, each one of those rooms is a... Oh, there you go. Is a die. That's sort of like what ours is. And so we want to give them, you know, multiple attachments to each other here and there. So it's not like overly linear. And I think that extra entrance does help with that a lot. So I think I have to figure out what happened in this. Let's just go over everything we have here, because we have a decent amount. I forgot about the toxic feature. That's, well, I mean, the latrine might be the big part. Maybe the latrine is our boss battle. That's where we'll have something in there that's being kept in there for a reason. So basically, what we rolled on was a manor with the dungeon feature toxic. The original use of this dungeon was an observatory built by a long dead poet. We rolled on 2 different entrances because we have an entrance at, if you can see here in the top right, I'll make this bigger now. I'll put over my beautiful face. You can see right here, 1 is one entrance and 5 is the other entrance. So we got once a mine shaft with living plants, which I think we're thinking of putting that one for room 5 because it makes more sense for the workshop. And then the other one is a starlight path that's made of stone, which I think is an interesting way. Maybe that's how you find your way to the manor. Maybe they say like the manor's lost. Maybe like the locals say that like the rumors like you can only find the manor of, you know, the old poet Joe when you go at midnight and follow the starlight path to it. That's the thing, we weren't sure for the observatory. My thoughts obviously with an observatory go to the stars, but our thoughts are, I think, that this is below the mansion is how I'm seeing it. So we're thinking that the observatory might be that he or she found something underneath the manor maybe, and perhaps started building or whatever, and maybe that the observatory was made for something underneath the mansion. Or manor, rather. So, the general vibe for the Denizens we got is practical and passive. We have 2 factions in here. Hey, Robo. Nice to see you. Faction 1, we have the goal of growth and incompetence as their obstacle. And Faction 2 wants liberation. Their obstacle is exposure. And I don't know what it is, but there's something, I think we have to have something in the latrine. I think there has to be something there. Maybe that is the other faction. Maybe that's like part of the other thing. Over here in room 6. Maybe that's, I just like the idea that they're tapping or doing some weird shit that they're maybe trying to get out of there. Or maybe they're behind that illusory wall in the final room. For our room so far, room 1 over here, our main entrance, probably our most easy to find entrance. Type is court, and the clues are echoes. Not sure what to do with that just yet, but we might be able to get some good ideas with that. Obviously, room 2, we have the avian mating, so some sort of bird orgy is what I'm saying is going on there. But you know, obviously, it could be something a little bit more tame than that. I mean, we do have these passive and practical people apparently that are down here as the general vibe. Room 3, it's a shifting treasure room up here. I think, again, we can think of some fun ideas for how that might be a fun puzzle to reward the players with. Some sort of weird disappearing treasure or moving treasure or something. Or what we could do is that this could also be another monster room, and maybe that shifting treasure is actually like a coin golem, where it's, you know, treasure moving around that once you do something to it, it forms together. Now you're dealing with this monster made of the riches that you want. With room 4, we have a pretty, what is, you know, fairly classic impales, an impaling trap, and the trigger is touching it. I mean, there's a billion things we could do there. We could probably just, well, this one we might be able to just write off as we can just take that from like a trap, from a trap book or something. And room 5, we have a workshop, and there's the clues are leavings. It's in their lore room, and it's also our second entrance. Room 6 in their lore room, and it's a latrine, and there's some weird tapping going on there. And the room 7, we rolled a mural with illusion, which we're thinking of making that a secret room. Though that might change depending on what we decide through whatever we flush out here. So I think with that, this is a very weird and interesting dungeon. I think what we should do is figure out the original person. And I think what we should do is, I think the original use and built by the same person, I'm thinking some kind of, if not wizard, some very like eccentric kind of person. I think somebody who's very much like I said, the early thing I said about some sort of like ADHD king, who, you know, goes from different hobby to different hobby, which is why there's so much weird shit that's in here. Could be a fun sort of tongue-in-cheek way of doing it. Yes, avian room with a nesting room with a hole in the ceiling. Oh, that could be good. All right, we'll come back to that. Keep track of those in case I forget, because I think that's pretty good. I do like. Oh man, because now I'm thinking of like, you know, like the eggs in Monster Hunter, trying to get those out of there. Those eggs could be worth something to somebody. So I think, actually, you know what? I actually don't know how much it matters. I think we have the vibe here. I think we have some weirdo in the past. I think the general story that I'm going to write down for this. Old, long dead guy. Or is he? Built manor over a strange occurrence in the earth. Mined or found a place here that he should not have disturbed. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, Bruno, that we're going for. So like the observatory and this whole manor, all of this is maybe meant to be like essentially this guy's whole sort of crazy lab, like you said there, Robo. Because what we have for the general vibe is basically that so far from what, you know, we have here. And there is the toxic feature that we haven't really incorporated yet with any ideas, but that's fine. Okay, we'll just start with here. Leads to manor, which leads to room 1 there in basement. Oh wait, no, that's wrong. That's the wrong one. Oops. Can only find this path. Maybe. Oh, you know, with the observatory, we could also, if we do still want to have sort of an astronomy observatory and also just an observatory of this place, can only find this path when the proper stars align, which is maybe why they first built that observatory in the first place. We could maybe have a connection to some sort of alien thing and maybe what's underneath the Earth there. When the proper stars align at night, leading to the outside of the manor. And then from there, they can probably go in and search it and then find the entrance to room 1. Yeah, exactly, bro. That's why I just think it's very funny. It's just like this guy who did all this stuff. You know, it's like how you do anything where it's like I have like a billion minis, where it's like I spent so much money on minis and like all the accessories and everything, and now I have a shitload of like box sets that I just can't bring myself to paint at the moment. Where like every once in a while I get in a mood to paint it and I paint them, and other times just like I just don't want to do this. And like I spent so much money on it and I think they're really cool, but I'm also like, ugh, I have to put them all together. I already have some of that put together that I haven't been painted yet. I'll get to it eventually. But instead it's with this, and it's with some weird ass alien bullshit that's in the area, which is, you know, much higher stakes for somebody who gets distracted a little bit too easily. I'm gonna say for the mine shaft, leads to room 5 directly, is found outside, maybe behind the house. clues about, maybe clues of strange growth, such as weird trees that don't belong in the region, or other biological signs that give away this entrance for those who look. Okay. I forgot about the ruination condition. That's right, unending. What do you guys think that means? Because the ruination causes civil war, and the ruination condition is unending. Is this in, like, a region that has an ongoing civil war that's been going on for a while? Or it's like the 17th Civil War? Because that one was a weird one. That's a bit of a a curveball for the ruination cause. Or that one feels very unrelated, which I think is totally fine. I think it does make your world feel a bit more real if you just have things that happen, not all just because of one theme, but you have a theme and you have maybe some stuff that gets thrown in just to, you know, spice things up, or maybe throw in some red herrings as to why things are destroyed. So if anybody has any ideas with that, I'm going to skip that one for now, but if anybody has any ideas with the ruination of this place being unending and the cause civil war, I'd be interested to hear some stuff with that, some things I can get some ideas sparking. Martin, perhaps the ruination caused some sort of damage to something in the manor which cannot be rectified, like a portal that can't be closed. Okay, there you go. Maybe for Starlight Path, rather than the stars being right, they always need to be if it's a one-shot. They just need to shine Starlight on a carved door, but the basement windows are blocked at the moment. You need to shine Starlight on a carved door. That's cool. That's also really funny, Bernard, because that immediately makes you think of somebody of the group. They get, like, you know, the notes or the rumor or whatever of, like, you know, in this region, if Starlight falls upon, like, a carved door, it can lead you to a strange manor or whatever, which makes you just think of the players having to find a way to source a door. Like, steal it from the local town, or, like, buy it from, like, the tavern, or go to, like, some peasant and be like, hey, can we just, like, borrow your door for, like, a night? So I actually like that a lot. Shining Starlight upon... I think that's a really good idea. That's very creative. I like that a lot. And I can already see players I know taking that as such a whimsical and unique way to enter a dungeon, and how they would go about that being a really fun part. Now, whether it's a one-shot or not, the one-shot part could not ruin it, but it could make it take a lot longer. But we're not going to worry about one-shots, or if it's meant to be a dungeon just placed in your sandbox where it's like, it doesn't really matter how long you have to play it, you can play whenever. So I like this a lot. Shining Starlight upon a carved door in a certain region. Something along the lines of forcing the players to find a door to drag around, or some other creative way involving doors. Because maybe they can try and get Starlight on a door that's already, like, in a town or something. But we won't worry about that. So let's see. What other people? I might have missed a few messages here. Okay, yeah. So perhaps the ruination caused some sort of damage to something in the manor which can be rectified, like a portal that can't be closed, which I liked a lot. Which I think we can lead to ongoing civil war that has nothing to do with the denizens here, we'll say. Or maybe that's a trick, so I won't worry that just yet. On the Civil War, because we might maybe have some deserters that are down here in the dungeon, so that might be a fun thing to have. On the Civil War, that damaged the manor, leading the poet ADHD king to flee into the dungeon, and this looting caused irreversible damage. Oh my god, Robo, I like you thinking outside the box like that. That's actually really good. Oh. Oh my god. Is our ADHD king a fucking debate, bro? I like that a lot. I really like that a lot. That's really, really, okay, yeah. Yeah, I think we're gonna go with that. It's a civil war of ideas between the builder, perhaps some minions, and his former crew, followers, lab partners. Oh no, I understand what you're saying, Bernard. My thoughts were just that you said shining starlight upon the door, and my thoughts were like, well, wouldn't that just happen? I guess like every night. So yeah, I guess that would work as it just being there. Which I think that door thing, your more normal idea, actually would make more sense and could work. But I also like the idea of people just being like, no, you gotta find a door and bring it out underneath the stars and figure it out. Stupid. We can absolutely make one side evil, but we'll see what we can do. So we have this is very funny. Okay, so the dozen virtues are practical and passive. Let's bring this down just a little bit. We'll just make this a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay. Oh, also, Martin, I forgot. Yeah, that's right. You're British. So when you were talking about those who leave the bag in before milking those who take it out first, I was so confused because I was thinking of it's not here in Newfoundland, but in Ontario and like Quebec and stuff where they have the bagged milk, which is like very common. Like when I lived there, we would just have the the milk bags. So my brain went to that. All right, so what we got here. We have our two factions. We have some ideas here between the civil war of ideas that never seems to end. Okay. So faction 1 is growth, but they're incompetent. That's gotta be the builder, right? Because faction 2 is liberation, but their obstacle is exposure. Now, is that exposure in like literal sense of exposure? Like they're exposed to like whatever is toxic down here that we have listed here? Is this exposure like this incompetent ADHD king builder of ours is stealing all their research papers and claiming them as his own? And they want exposure in the academic community. Now that's evil if this guy's stealing their shit. But it could lead to more sort of, if he is incompetent but maybe charismatic, maybe that's why he's able to get people that were down here to help him with whatever he's doing. And from there, maybe things just got worse and worse as things happened here. Practical and passive, such a weird one. All right, so faction 1, with their goal, with their growth, or with their goal and obstacle. We'll give it a little blurb here. We don't need to go too crazy. If anybody thinks of a good name for our builder friend here, we'll give it that. Creator of this manor and project. Yes. Oh, he's an ideas guy. Yeah. Manor and project. Big middle manager vibes. Lots of ideas. Highly intelligent, we'll say. But not a lot of practical or physical implementations. Not a lot of practical or physical implementations. And possibly stealing credit for the ideas. And we'll say possibly stealing credit for the labor and accomplishments of his subordinates. We'll say highly ambitious. Faction 2. Because I think for the faction 1, I think it should. Do you think it should just be him and him alone, or do you think it should be him and maybe like a crony or two who stand to gain from him, maybe from his own? Maybe he's like promised them stuff if they go along with his sort of his bullshit, like maybe like teacher's pets kind of thing. We'll say oh, actually, we could say maybe like 2 teacher's pets who are rivals with each other because he kind of like pits them against each other. Sort of maybe bounces off one to the other back and forth, kind of like a real toxic relationship between these 3. It could be very fun. Yeah, I'm thinking either a second in command or a second and third in command, who are always changing between who's second and who's third. Has 2 cronies. He keeps in line by by manipulating and strength and I'd say growing the rivalry between them for his affections and praise. Yeah, I was thinking the second faction would maybe be, they could be like maybe like the juniors, the ones who kind of broke away. Could be like maybe the laborers for this area. It could be maybe that whatever these bird people are, maybe they're related to this in some fashion or other. Maybe the people, maybe there's some people here are like some other scientists or researchers or whoever, you know, whatever they're doing here. Maybe when they open up this place and like it opened up to the these avian creatures, they want to protect them and like sort of keep them from being exposed, trying to stop them from being, you know, overly maybe exploited. I mean, their obstacle is exposure, so maybe they're trying to help these things without them getting exposed to like maybe like the daylight or something, with like maybe that they're like a subterranean creature that maybe has like a long gestation period or whatever it is, where it's like an ecological thing that the ideas guy does not really care about because it gets in the way of his ambitions. Oh, there you go. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. Hmm. Oh man. This is the worst part, is that all the different ideas that are good, because I like him being there, but I also like the idea of the two successor factions deciding, interpreting what their glorious leader in the past said, through different writings. Because I imagine, not if he's not, I'm not gonna say he's a fraud, but I'll say, like, maybe he's definitely somebody who took liberties with the truth, or somebody who truly had a lot of different things going on. So maybe, like, in some books, the way you read it, he might come off as a very benevolent, caring, a scientist with a lot of integrity. And then others might be like, well, no, I mean, if you look at these and like the actual, like, processes of what he did, he's actually super ambitious and only, like, did what he thought was best for himself. Good night, Martin. Thanks for stopping by, buddy. Yeah, I still, you know what? I still like this idea with the manipulation between the two cronies, but we'll say not creator. Maybe we'll say, the former, I don't know, maybe the former second in command. To the creator of this place, / some tangential relation, such as being the grandchild. I'm not married to either way, but I think there should be obviously some level of attachment, clearly, for this to happen. And we can keep all this the same here. I don't think that's worse for having, because I think that's still interesting and fun to roleplay, instead of just having that in the background that never gets used. And I still like the two cronies thing. So I think we have the good idea of, like, this guy interprets. We'll just write it down here. This faction interprets the original creator of the dungeon's writings as more selfish, ambitious, results over ethics mentality. Faction 2, Faction 2. You know what? Actually, here's the thing. For Faction 2, what I'll do to give myself an idea is we'll roll that different Denizen traits that we do for, like, maybe like a special NPC. All right, Denizen traits. This will be for the faction leader. And if we don't like them, they don't really work, then we might not use them, but it could just be a good jumping off point for ideas. So we got 9, which is loyal, and we got 14, which is selfish, but 16 is stubborn, and I kind of prefer stubborn. Just because I think selfish is fine, but I think we already have, like, the selfish faction. So I think maybe just more of a stubborn person leading this, I think, is pretty good. Denizen faction leader, Denizen traits, loyal, stubborn. Because maybe this could be what's also helping maybe basically make this a roadblock for them both getting what they want or doing whatever they're doing. I would say maybe this is a group of, like, maybe like 4, like, students or, like, juniors. When I say junior, I mean like college kind, like not so much Is that just me on Discord? Oh. It's just Bernard who's here. I could see it, like, I could see maybe being, like, maybe some, like, younger people with, like, more, you know, sort of higher ideals of empathy, and protectiveness, and maybe they're protective over this, like, these avians here, and maybe, like, the avian creatures have something, like, in the eggs, or maybe they're, like, a very rare species, or they could have just something of value, that I think is, we can be anything. It could be the goo in the egg with the birds might be what's worth a lot, or the eggs themselves yeah, damn right, Bernard, just lame old Bernard trying to distract me. Maybe it's something with just the eggs themselves being high value to maybe, like, certain sellers or something. So, or just they might be horribly experimented on if these ones let them do it by the other faction. So, faction, we'll say 3 to maybe 5 more inexperienced younger adults with high ideals of keeping the avian creatures in this dungeon free from experimentation, violence, exploitation, etc. However, I think with, like, that, maybe the obstacle of exposure could be lack of exposure, in terms of, like, maybe they're just less experienced and also being stubborn. I like the idea of maybe well-intentioned, however, their methods are sometimes destructive to the local ecology. Maybe they are the ones that set off whatever that crazy plant growth in the workshop is. And naive on how to actually deal with interpersonal issues. This is vague enough to give us some ideas, because we might drill down from here a little bit. But I kind of like the idea of ambitious, selfish, maybe older, more experienced, maybe perhaps better with both, like, maybe either magic or manipulation or just general skills, versus younger people just sort of trying to, like, fight back and sort of keep the dungeon ecology safe, though also not being very good at their job of doing this. And also, with this actually makes the court more interesting now with these factions in mind. And feel free, we're gonna move on from the factions for now, just because I think we have a general idea. If you guys get any ideas, feel free to throw them out, and we might go back here and tighten things up or just fix some things. But now I'm thinking that the echoes here, the room 1 and the court, maybe this is, like, the debate hall here, where it's, like, it's not, like, a literal court. Maybe it's just, like, a camp that's set in the sort of first area here. Because this just leads straight from the manor. Maybe this is, like, the echoes are people, like, yelling at each other, or, you know, just them getting into their dumb debates or fights over what should be done next, which I think could immediately lead the players into wondering what's going on and what they can do to intervene. Not a literal court, but a makeshift camp, or rough worked area. I would say made of stone, just to make it really echoey from all the yelling. Maybe seen as a middle ground between the two factions. where they have agreed to go to argue, debate. Do we have a type of thing that the factions are yet? I think for now, from this, that they're people. Was my idea that we have two groups of people here. Oh, you want them being real small? That is very cute. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If we're making them just tiny people, which does make it very funny. For now, with this though, I am thinking that they are more just regular people though. Obviously, you can make them a little bit spicier if you want though, in your own can for what you think these guys might be. Like a whole town can exist in a room size. That's crazy. That's so funny. That's like super small. I thought you meant like Hobbit. I didn't think you meant. That is funny though. That would actually make it interesting if they're trying to save what are birds that are bigger than them. But for now we'll stick to regular sized people. Where they have maybe agreed to go to argue and debate, which they only follow sometimes. I would say currently here, when the players arrive, are maybe currently here are one of the cronies and two of the younger students debating something. I'm gonna try and just keep these. We're gonna just keep trying to do a little bit and then flush them out. Currently, rough worked. No, does that work for you, Google? That's true, Bernard. What's funny about that, what you're saying, is that that's basically, isn't that like Gulliver's Travels? In Gulliver's Travels, isn't there the small faction that's arguing over which way you should like crack open an egg, or is that someone else? Because you're that's the way you said tiny people. That's why I immediately thought of, were people arguing over an ideological dumb thing. I think it was how you open an egg. It's something like that. As one of the factors that comes across. And I would say that this room leads out to both. I'm gonna say we'll go room 2 and 3. Like it bypasses. I'd say that there's 2 different entrances that leave out of here. Mostly because I think it makes more sense with room 2 being where the avian stuff mainly is. Having another way in might at least make more sense for how people are getting around. Where like, otherwise having all the traffic go through like that one room where all the eggs are might make less sense for the story of debating, because I feel like that's like too much access for the first faction. So having it lead to room 1, 2, and 3 from 1, I think it makes more sense for also giving a bit more variety. I don't know if there's much else here. I don't know if we're gonna do every little thing that could be in here, because if you look at in the book, I'll just give you an example of what I'm about to lead to, which I don't think is going to be the level that we're going to be drilling down. I more just want to see if we can get like a dungeon that looks fun to play and made sense. But at the end of this, once you finish the dungeon, there's an example dungeon, and what it has is basically, if you ever played any sort of like old school kind of dungeon, OSR, NSR, whatever. You have like dining hall, lore, dining hall, smell. Long rustic tables are arranged in horizontal rows. The smell of root vegetables and cloves linger in the air. You have tables that says large enough for 80 people, used by the cult before the split. Smell strongest near the north passage towards room 4. So I think that's about the level that we're gonna do here. Like, we're not gonna go super crazy with every little detail. but enough to see if we can get a dungeon that I could take and play. Which, who knows? Maybe in the Discord, maybe I'll just run this and see how it works out for people. Just go from having very basic info and basically improving the other like 60%, or I guess probably more like 80%, because we're not gonna be running that much here. Activity, room 2, monster room, group type, avian, activity, bang and mating. Floor lined with massive eggs, thinking sort of like xenomorph eggs. Adult bird creatures are here watching over them. I'm thinking also maybe basing them off of those like dinosaur birds that we have. What are they called? I'll see if we can find it. Modern dinosaur looking bird. There we go. What's this called? What the fuck is it called? Is this called oh my god, fucking ads. Jesus, so many ads. God. Shoebill. But the female shoebill. Is it just a shoebill, or is it not? I thought it was more than just a. Okay. Shoebill. I'm thinking like one of those freaky dinosaur shoebill birds is what I'm thinking. Freaky dinosaur looking rare shoebills. Which I don't know if they're called. I think I was just saying that. I think I was just saying that it was rare, not that it's called a rare shoebill. Freaky dinosaur looking shoebills. Should we just potentially dangerous if players are, or if characters are not respectful, acting hostile, etc. We'll say 1 in 6 chance, 1d4 of the 1d4 students are here watching over the eggs and doing research. With that, I would say this room, I'd say, leads to room 5, room 3. Should we have it lead to room 5, 3, and 6, or just 5 and 3? Is 5, 3, and 6 too much for one room to lead to? That might be a little bit much. But I think 5 and 3 is pretty good. That leaves more openness. And then also you can get to the room, the egg room from the other entrance as well. So we'll do that. This room leads to room 5, rooms 3 and 5 from here. Okay, and now we have the special room, which is the shifting treasure room. See, I was hoping by the time we got to this point that we would have thought of stuff that maybe could be clues to how to grab this treasure at this point, which maybe is just a more in-depth kind of puzzle idea. Because I'm still not against the coin golem idea as well, where it's like, you know, whatever you might do, this might just lead to all the coins coming together, and then you're dealing with the coin golem that you have to fight if you want those treasures. Maybe like every smacky of this coin golem, just money goes flying everywhere. Also maybe lowering its HP while it happens as well. Or is there anything with treasure shifting that would be interesting? Because I could also see it being like, oh, it's like literally a pile of treasure that when you go over towards it, almost like a magnet, it goes away from you. Unless maybe you have like a certain object or item or do a certain thing to get it. Which could be interesting. We'll say tentatively. Jesus Christ. Tentatively, a coin golem that comes to life, and attacks. Oh, I see. You can say a male shoot. Yeah. It's funny because, like, yeah, those old like the pneumatic tubes. Yeah, they could like lead up to the mansion maybe, like a mail room in the mansion. I mean, we could do that with normal size guys too. I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. Yeah. No, I knew exactly what you mean. Yeah, the Futurama thing. I'm not against the small guys thing. I think it's a very fun idea, to be clear. I'm more just thinking that it's funny, but does that lead to maybe making it too silly, or maybe making it an extra layer that might be a bit much? I'm not sure. Like, it's one of those things where, like, I'm not against it. I'm more just like, I don't know about it. I'm not totally sold on it, I guess. On the literal crazy little guys scenario. But for now, we'll just do tentatively a coin golem that comes to life and attacks. Possibly treasure in a mail chute, which may be a clue to look for more treasure in the mailroom in the mansion. Or some weird puzzle with treasure moving away from the characters that can be solved. They can be solved in maybe with a clue from somewhere else. I like the mail room idea because I like how much that's taking the treasure shifting very literally. I think that's very funny. And also that could also just lead to more lore stuff. If they go to a mailroom and find more stuff, maybe they can find out a bit more about the dungeon. Maybe they can also lead to some more things going on. Like that they learn about that's going on between the two factions. Maybe some information they could use to fuck with the two factions, or, you know, kind of just get in between both of them. All right, room 4, trap room. Trap impales, trigger is touches. This is room 4 over here. Oh wait, room 3. Also this, yeah. I'll say this room leads to room 4. I think that's pretty good. I think because we already have this one lean to 5 and 3, so I think just this one being just linear straight to 2 and 4, I think is not a bad idea. So room is room 4. All right, the room 4 trap room. Trap impales, trigger is touches. The birds from Loop Track. What does that mean? Yeah, does anybody have, I mean, I think we're gonna run to the bathroom real quick. If anybody in the chat wants to add ideas on fun traps with impaling and touching, We can try and figure that out. Because again, that's a very basic trap. So we might want some more stuff in this room that is a bit more interesting. Because that one's up there. That one's directly next to the illusory wall room. And what's room 6? Another the latrine room. So maybe that could be something with the mural, perhaps, or maybe the mural is fully in the other room and we're not gonna touch that till we get there. But I'll be right back. You guys, if you have any ideas, feel free to type them out. It'll be 1 second. All right. I am back. Okay. So, all right. No ideas so far. I do think this one's very broad. With it being touches, I just I want to come back to this one just because I think overall whatever it might be might not just be that interesting. This could be another treasure room. Maybe this could be. Oh, actually, you know what? No, I know what this is gonna be. This will be the main faction room for faction 1. We should probably give the factions names. We'll just go faction 1. We'll call them Old Boys. Faction 2, what's a good term for like students? We'll call them juniors. Keep things simple. And the main faction room for the Old Boys. Their research notes, maybe a magic item in one of the chests. Actually, no, let's reword this. A chest with maybe, wait, what should we, because I feel like notes are good. Definitely magic item. 0.75 speed. Man, I must have been sounding drunk as hell, Robo. Unless you mean like it was set to as in falling behind. That's so funny. Hey guys, welcome to the stream. No, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. It's hard for me to point a chat and be like, come up with ideas right now. But yeah, so we'll say maybe a chest with important or revealing notes such as blackmail or useful deeds for the property, etc., and a magic item plus some treasure, protected by an impaling trap. I'm thinking maybe something that's like not just impaling off of the chest, maybe like if triggered without disabling, maybe the rug on the floor, underneath the chest, magically shoots up spikes into the intruder, or into the burglar. I will say, let's do this in its own tab. Main faction room for the old boys. A messy bunch of mattresses, old stained coffee cups, and the smell of paper, ink, and we'll say old food. So that gives us our trap and also adds to what this room is. I would say this is room 4, correct? I'd say this room leads to both 6. Oh, how about this? How about this? Okay. Room leads to 6. And to room 7. Unbeknownst to the old boys of this secret way in, of the secret entrance. So that could be fun, that if the players try to, maybe if they find room 7 a different way, maybe through room 6. What is room 6? Another lore room, a latrine. Yeah. Okay, because the latrine, maybe there's like a way down. Maybe the tapping clues, maybe it could be like water or like something that maybe like tips off the players if they want to look through it, follow those clues. Maybe that's like there's a way down that leads into room 7, and from room 7 maybe there's a mural that can lead back up to room 4 here. That could be fun. I think room 7 has a lot of potential for stuff it could be. Also, I wasn't scrolled down far enough for you guys to see room 6, but the room 6 one could be a fun one to go from. All right, so from that, we'll go room 5, second entrance, lower room, type workshop, and leavings. Very funny. It's almost like a pun with leavings, because we know from the shaft up here, entrance mine shaft, living plants. Maybe that leavings is very literal. I think disposal room is a very good idea. I'm thinking the latrine disposal room. We could do both, sort of like that. Both factions have kind of maybe decided like this is where we go to both excrete waste and throw stuff out, where it's just like a disgusting trash room that's like piling up, which I think could be its own thing. I think also this workshop and leavings. I would say the main faction room for the juniors. Yeah. I like that a lot. I think that's what could lead the players to serve. If they really search through it, that's what can lead them to room 7. The main faction room for the juniors. And that also gives us, I think room 5 is good because that gives us a separation from the room of the old boys, because they're room 4. Room 4 does not have an attachment to room 5 except through the latrine, and then the other way around. And I think we'll have this room also go to the latrine. So this way they're kind of like divided by this horrible, disgusting room that nobody wants to be in for longer than they have to be, maybe, which is a good border. And then they're very close to the birds, which they probably want to be. So maybe it's just like it's good. I think this actually, as much as it's like, I know, smaller, obviously in the actual dungeon world, I would say like things are stretched out a bit further, but I think this is both pretty close quarters and very like tight and sort of tense. While also making sense as to where like people are in relations to the things they're interested in, which I like. The main faction room for the juniors, no beds, using the insane foliage to sleep on. Hang up clothes, perhaps hide some valuable items, and maybe even some sustenance as starving college kids. Boiling roots or parts of the plants for teas and broths, like that. Okay, so with that, this is their, and they have like a way right in and out of here. I'm wondering what else you might want in this room that they might have that's of value or that's interesting to deal with. Yeah. Well, I think so. Here's how I see the separation, right? And I think that's interesting. Is that so? We have the latrine, which I would say works like sort of like the toxic part. Like maybe it's really bad there from two groups of people over a very long period of time using throwing their debris and going to the bathroom there and doing everything else. It's a you really only go there if you need to. And then on the other side, is these sort of like dinosaur-y like bird things that, as much as the juniors are trying to take care of them and do whatever, they might not actually be able to like really do much with the eggs or the birds without like fear of like losing an arm or, you know, getting a pretty big you know, bite or attack or something, where they maybe like they're very ornery birds, who knows. So I think like those things are kind of like separations in of themselves, where they can kind of force the two groups to have to stay away from each other, because if they get, you know, into any, you know, too loud in that room, that's an issue. If they're the latrine, it's like not a great place to get into an argument either, or want to stay there for too long. So I think those are at least two good separations that have some stuff there as to why they're not constantly each other's grill, on top of them having that sort of court in the entrance there to maybe sort of deal with their issues and grievances or whatever. When they do that, because my thoughts are like they probably also don't always follow the rules that they've set for themselves of like talking it out in the court there, or what they call the court. So we could maybe have some more separation as well, though. Like we might want to add more rooms if we want to make this a bigger dungeon. Like, that would be like down the road thing. We're just gonna stick with this for now. We could also maybe have a wandering monster or something in here, or like a wandering thing, like maybe some sort of wildlife that's gone in, not like, you know, a bear or anything like that, but maybe like a snake or, you know, an infestation of some kind, of some weird thing. Could be like a strange magical creature. If 2 was in the middle of all the rooms, I actually do like that. Which is kind of where what was 2 attached to? 2 is attached to 3 and 5 and 1. So it kind of already is kind of like the interaction room, because I mean, I guess the old boys can get around it by just going from 3 to 1, which I do want to keep that. But yeah, I don't dislike that idea. Having it attached to 6 as well. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Okay, you know what? I do like that. I do like that. Well, you know what we can do is what we can do with 2. We'll just add this in the 2 section. Extra section on the map. Either increasing this room to be a more complex space, or a larger space that the birds interact in, such as an underground lake for feeding. Yeah, I see what you're saying, and honestly, Robo, I think it's a very good idea. So we can add this extra room here, which we'll for now, because I'm not gonna place this again, take another picture or anything. But for now, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll say there's another room that's attached to underground lake for feeding, or some kind of natural. How'd you put it? Center, yeah. Maybe kind of a natural center. That several of the other rooms lead to, and that the birds wander between nesting area and feeding leisure area. And also that has the... Yeah, exactly. No, I don't think. I think you're doing. I think that's a very good idea. I like that a lot. I think when thinking about what makes sense, I think that adds a level of what's the word I'm looking for? Verisimilitude. Of like, okay, are we just trapping the birds in one room where like this is the bird room and the birds, they wander around probably. Well, actually, if I made a wandering table, I'd say the birds are probably on the wandering table for sure, where they kind of go where they want and do whatever they want. Maybe they're kind of a nuisance as well if they go to certain places. But also it means, you know, we have, I like the idea of this underground lake, because that could mean we can add an extra monster in there, like an underground creature, like maybe some sort of like freshwater, like barracuda or something like that. It's also an area for freshwater for both the birds and food if there's like smaller fish, like cave fish, whatever, and also freshwater for the people who are down here, who I'm assuming, it seemed like these people are obsessive. I'm assuming that they are probably going to be using this room that we just came up with here for, you know, assistance anyway, because I'm assuming they're not going up to the manor all that often, or leaving the area all that often, because that leaves anybody who leaves in sort of like a weak position, which also is the reason why they're still down here and still arguing over what to do with this stuff. So I think it's a good idea where it adds more of like, I don't know, a less of a static feeling, you know, where like, oh, the birds are here and the birds are here and the birds are here, and like we don't worry about it too much. It's like, well, aren't they gonna want to move around a bit and do stuff? So no, I think it's a good idea. I like that a lot. And we'll just leave it at that for now, where it's like that's sort of like right in the middle, you know, between 2, 3, 4, 6, and 5. This is the extra room. So if I do end up actually fleshing this out more off stream and actually trying to run it, I will add that extra room in there. And honestly, 8 rooms for a dungeon, I think, is a pretty solid amount of rooms. Okay, that's a good idea. I like that a lot. I think I got some pistons firing in my head. As for the kids, I do want something more here, because they have a direct way out through the mine shaft. Maybe they use it to leave to gather supplies. And they try to do it without alerting the old boys to the shaft's existence, or when any of them leave or we'll say exit, leaving them in a weaker position temporarily. And also there's some valuable items here to steal, you know, maybe some like utensils or devices or things that the students might have might be useful. I would say the trigger trap thing has like an actual, like in the trap room has an actual potential problem. So I think putting a magic item there makes sense and is good. We won't put a magic item here though, just maybe some fun stuff to find, you know, like some lab equipment that's pretty expensive, like a microscope or whatever. To the chat's existence. Leads to room 2 and 6. Okay, room 6. The latrine and the tapping. Overwhelmingly disgusting room. Perhaps steps or rolls are needed to stay here for too long, or perhaps right when they enter, due to the absolutely horrid conditions. We'll say there's some kind of machinery here for disposing of waste, both human and mundane, or and material. Can you put the connections on the picture of the dice, or is that too difficult? It's not too difficult. I can probably crack open Canva and do that. That won't be an issue too much. It just means you guys are going to stare at me for a bit, just basically putting squares over everything. I could probably also maybe open MS Paint or something. But essentially, we'll just open this up here for you. Because it is, I know it's a little bit hard probably to visualize. But essentially, these are mostly just leading into 1 or 2. It's almost kind of going like in a circle here a bit. I am just lazy. I won't lie to you. You know me. That is what I am. Yeah, I do like opening the door. It triggers a wandering monster check. I like that. I'm gonna add that there. Possibly triggers a wandering monster check due to the smell attracting horrible beasties in the area. And like one thing to keep in mind too with this, right? At least in the way I see it, is that this is a dungeon where we do have the rooms, and they are rooms, but I'm also kind of seeing it as a bit of like a point crawl. So like these distances might feel a bit smaller just because we're looking at the dice, and that we're just sort of talking about like these little areas. But I kind of see it as like grander, more, I guess, ambiguous areas. So there's enough space, I think, in these different like hallways that are connecting the different areas or whatever for monsters to be hiding in, or to be, you know, coming from different little routes that might lead into this area, into this dungeon. So I do see it more almost as like a point crawl more than anything else, which I guess a dungeon crawl basically is just a micro point crawl at the end of the day. But hopefully what I'm saying makes sense. So got machinery here for disposing of waste, both human and material. Perhaps set up by the predecessors of the old boys and juniors, and does not function properly at this time. So, Bernard, what I was thinking for the tapping was the tapping clue. Tapping clue lead to a path or route downwards towards room 7. Maybe underneath this disposal machinery. which could lead to having to make some rolls or tests if the players don't do something to like maybe protect themselves. They're gonna have to like go through filth to get to room 7, maybe go through waste. I'm thinking of something that is like sort of tips them off that maybe if they go through the machinery or look through the machinery or look through the areas or like through like a refuse pile, it will lead them to room 7. Maybe underneath this disposable machinery, or also my friend's calling me and he might need my help moving, so I'm not gonna do it just yet, but we'll probably wrap up in the next half hour or so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like either like tapping like some sort of draft or like you said like a loose door, like yeah, like maybe some sort of shaft or entrance or something that's happening where it's like, what is that noise? And you check and it's like, wait, this leads to something or somewhere. Do we want to go down there and check it out? And the reason for that, the reason why I wanted to do that is that I want room 7 to then go up and lead into room 4 here, which is where the old boys are staying. And that could be some good information for the players if they're going after the old boys, if they want to have bargaining information for the juniors. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Maybe tapping clues, loose machinery, draft, broken piece. Yeah, exactly. Broken piece. Lead to a path or route downwards towards room 7, maybe underneath this disposable machinery or refuse pile that leads down. That is a gross but hidden way into room 7, which I could probably clean this up a little bit because I kind of repeat some information here. Gross, but we can just do gross but hidden. No, I refuse, Steve. I will not do that. Ooh. That is gross but hidden. Okay. I'd say also chance to find tools. Random pieces of machinery, etc. That is useful. Maybe with 1 in 6 search checks. Perhaps make refuse pile, table. Okay. Leads to room 7, obviously. And obviously back to leads to room 7, 4, and back to 5. Which I should go back and do all the leads to rooms that I didn't say that they led to because I already said earlier, so I probably should just go leads to each of these rooms. But yeah, leads to room 7, 4, and back to 5. All right, our final room. So, with this, the way I saw it, that would be interesting, is that, like I said, you can get there through the latrine, and this mural that's an illusion leads to room 4. Maybe it's a mural in the wall up in room 4, or maybe it's a mural that's in room 7 that leads to a path that opens up over there. Yeah. No, that is true. I do think we are missing some stuff with that. We are kind of all over the place for sure. Dino Crisis key cards and Oz terrible, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, this obviously needs a lot of refinement. I think what we're trying to do right now is just sort of, I guess, nail down the content, and then from there we can kind of like edit a little bit here and there. Well, I was thinking not a mural in room 6, Bernard, because room 6 is the latrine room, which has the way down into room 7. So I was thinking the mural should be in either room 7, which is hidden, or which is like you know, either room 7 here on the right has the mural that actually leads to room 4, or room 4 has the mural that just is totally innocuous to the old boys that they for some reason didn't really check or didn't think to, or they just weren't able to figure anything out about it. I'm thinking more room 7 has the mural and like a maybe stone pathway that leads to room 4, where there's like a hidden wall that like comes up, or like a trap door in the stones of the floor of room 4 rather. Sorry. But before we get to that, what should room 7 have? Like, one thing that could be really funny that we haven't really gone to yet is the creator of both the mansion and this dungeon. What if he died in here because he like got trapped down here, like building this stuff, or maybe hurt himself and couldn't get back up because he's an old man, and nobody could find him because he didn't tell anybody about the either the mural leading from room 4 to here, and maybe the latrine way didn't exist yet, or did exist but didn't really have any like wasn't really like a path you would take to go here. Or maybe this is also the runoff of the latrine room could be in here. This could be like a more natural, maybe like an underground river or an underground sort of like open cavern that could be in here. That's but it's like we're like if the remains of the creator are just here because he just got stuck in room 7 and died, and this is why they're carrying on. This is the sort of thing that we're following through. If you want to start follow themes, like they never found him, and that's why nobody really has a very good idea as to what his true maybe dying wishes would be. So they only have to go off of, not to mention with him disappearing could lead to also the paranoia of people accusing others of maybe murdering him or running him off for their own ambitions to take over, and then that's where like the schism started and where we are now. So actually, I think we can go with that because I actually kind of like that. Creator of mansion and dungeon went down to this room, a natural cavern that he planned, maybe planned for some reason, or that he had plans for. I have this, a natural cavern that he was exploring. Somehow fell maybe in a hole or broke his leg, and if anybody has any ideas of how he hurt himself, I'd love to hear them. Oh, that's a cool idea, Robo. Oh, burnout's a very good idea. Yes, I do like that a lot, which also would help why the machine's probably not working that well these days. Yeah, actually, you know what, Robo? What could be cool too with your perspective idea is like if it's the illusion is that you basically have to walk a certain way, that like maybe like you have to like line up the stalagmites and stalactites, which would be kind of hard to do in a imaginary game where we're just trying to describe things. So I think the concave convex thing could be a good way to do it, especially if the players are like searching the walls and they just fucking bang their head directly into the convex shape, or I guess concave shape. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the hard part with illusions and visual puzzles in these games that are so you know, well, in our imagination. Okay, but we'll go through this. Creator mentioned dungeon. Oh yeah, created from the irresponsible disposal of dangerous items such as acid, and other materials that slowly destroyed the machinery, or slowly damaged the machinery, and created this path. Creator of the mansion and dungeon went down into this room. A natural cavern that he was exploring somehow fell in a hole or broke his leg. Couldn't make his way back. Perhaps his torch went out. And couldn't find the illusionary wall to get out again. This is awful. What a horrible way to die. That's true. Yeah, there's the toxic stuff they mentioned earlier, which I think the latrine can probably like fill in for that. And this room too, because since I think the latrine basically has a runoff into this room at this point. In my own fucked up self, I like the horror idea of him, instead of quarantining, being down here and fucking up because of his own like paranoia and stupidity, not telling anybody about this place, and then that sealing his fate and basically sealing the fate of this dungeon. I think all that sort of leads very well into the issues we have now. Oh god, that's awful. Honestly, Bernard, I actually like that a lot. We'll go or went down into this, maybe into this run. We'll keep this why there's a path through the latrine sort of vague for now. We have our different ideas, but maybe it was there as part of runoff, or went down into the runoff chute to unclog, fix the machinery without telling anybody, and somebody came in unknowingly and turned it on while he was in there, perhaps shredding his legs, sending his upper torso down into this room. Never to be recovered or found. Because maybe the machinery was so loud they couldn't hear the screams or something, and he just got he got fucking torn apart and just fucking shot down through here. Without I telling anybody. And just as he unclogged it, somebody came in unknowingly and turned it on while he was in there, perhaps shredding his legs, things up for 7. It was just an ocean violation. Exactly. Put this down into its own room so we can save a lot here. Never be recovered or found. This is very fun. I like this more. Actually, we're just gonna stick with that. Um, creator uh, went down into this runoff chute from room 6. On his body are probably some magical items. Magical item. Well, we'll say, put in brackets, maybe just one. Maybe just like an amulet. Clothes are soiled and destroyed. Nothing else of value on the desiccated, chopped in half remains at the bottom of the chute. God, if you had the players go down the chute and find this at the end of it and put 2 and 2 together, from like the bone structure of like the destroyed like thighs or hips, and they're like, oh boy, that's very fun. And then for the mural or illusion, illusionary wall. That leads back up to room 4. Unknown to the old boys. It opens up into the floor. Leads back up to room 4, opening on the far east floor. Unknown to the old boys. And you know what? We'll also say before we get to the illusionary wall, this room itself, we'll say, you know what? Natural cavern. With, we'll say, with some level of like wondrous gems or minerals, or maybe leads to further discoveries outside the scope of this smaller dungeon idea. Illusionary wall leads up back to room 4, opening on the far east floor under the old boys. Because the way we see it now with this happening, with this OSHA violation, as Robo put it, I feel like this is not a room that was known to anybody, you know? Not even the creator. He was just like, he had the runoff maybe, or he built it. Maybe he knew about the underground cavern, but just had it open enough for the runoff, but didn't really check it out. And then died. So this illusionary wall, this mural that might lead out of here, could be something older. Maybe could lead to some more questions. Maybe it's more of a natural, like illusion, which I think Robo said earlier. We'll go with natural illusion, I think. What's the other entrance to 7? So the other entrance to 7 is this runoff way into 7. Room 7 is a secret room, basically. So like the only way to get to 7 is through this going down through the chute, or basically, actually, I think that's the only way in. But you can get out through the chute or get out going through 4. Is how I sort of saw it. Underwater tunnel back to 2. Yes. I like that. Underwater tunnel back to 2. Swimming against current. Wait, no, wouldn't it be with current because it's a pond? I guess we'd be going out of it in the next one. It doesn't matter. Underwater tunnel back to 2. I'd say hazards include Something scary in the water. And also holding her breath. And the illusionary walk, we could do the real old school thing of it not really making sense and just kind of going, fuck it, we need a way out of here that's interesting and exists for some reason, and just kind of creates questions that might not have answers. Like maybe it is some weird old carving. Ooh, you have water coming from 7 into 2. Coming from 7 into 2. Yeah. Okay. Oh, well, there you go. You're right. So that's another way to the secret room. Okay, yeah. Oh. Could be another way into room 7 from 2. Also potentially poisoning the water supply for the ecosystem in this well, for the ecosystem in this little cave. I'll just write weird illusion magic bullshit way, or portal, we'll say. Portal, door, path. We'll figure that one out later. But okay. So I do have to go see if my friend needs help with moving. So I'm not gonna end right this second, but I will say I think we have a pretty good idea here of a cool little dungeon. I think it's weird. Not everything fully makes sense, which again, totally fine and also very old school in its own dumb fucking way. We could probably make a rumors table for this area. We could probably make a little like wandering monsters table for the area. But I think we have a general good idea. We have factions that have a direct connection to each other, and I think pretty clear intentions of being, you know, pro bird versus anti bird, or not even anti bird, but like, you know, exploitation bird versus protecting the birds. We have this the invisible hand of this creator who's just led this sort of civil war of ideas. Yeah, see you, Bernard. And I think we have overall some interesting rooms like we run through. I can actually see myself, maybe I'm going to clean up a little bit off stream. And just maybe get some ideas together a little bit. But I could see myself, I might put this up as a game in the Discord server to see if anybody's interested in trying it out, see how it actually works in play from this. And yeah, I agree, but I think it's also just really fun, even if you don't go as far as we do. I think even just for just trying to get ideas to get the creative juices flowing, which I think is what these tables are best for, whether it's this or like Worlds Outnumber or DCC or whatever game you have that has those tables for the stuff. I do think it is good for that. We obviously were going deeper into it, but I think we actually have like a pretty cool little dungeon here. Now, I don't know if this is the type of dungeon I would have as a solo thing outside me just trying it out for a one-shot or like a two-shot. But I think if you had this in part of a greater sandbox, I think it'd be great. As just like there's no, you know, main big boss. There's no real like super epic stuff in it, but it is a weird little place to find that could then cascade into other stuff. And I also just honestly love the ideas we came up with. I love the way the creator went out. I think that's so funny. I think this is one of the funniest things. And if the players found it, I think it would be really, really great. But yeah, all right. I will call it there though. Thank you everybody who came by to watch, and also thank you everybody. Thank you Robo, Bernard, Martin. I don't know if anybody else joined in at all, but thank you to you guys for giving your ideas and throwing stuff in and just spitballing. I thought we have a cool thing here, and it's always fun to do these kinds of streams and see what we end up creating. The doomed Avery of Dr. Dumbass. Yeah, I like that. That's a pretty good name. We'll find a name for it. I like the doomed Avery of Dr. Blank. We'll have to find the name for it. The doomed Avery of Dr. X. Working title. Yeah. Thank you for stopping by. And sorry, Steve, I know you want more, but that's just how it goes. All right, guys. Oh, and Bernard's still here. I thought Bernard was gone to go to the gym. I had a lot of fun too, and I'll try and do this more often. We also have some region stuff in here as well, so maybe we'll make a region. Maybe we'll make more points of interest, and maybe we'll just flesh out like a little region, but I'm not going to commit to that just yet, just because that will be probably a lot more work. And I want a better stream setup than what we have here, which is a little bit jank. Okay, goodbye, everybody. Doctor to be announced.